Well, no wonder the truck won't start. Spark plugs are bad. Hello everyone and welcome to a Retired Review. Today I'm taking a look at set number 8522, Spark. The set was released in 2000, contains approximately 35 pieces, and during time of release was about $6. Alright, we are nearing the end, officially. Before I begin, disclaimer, this is all going to be my personal opinion and through the lens of a Bionicle fan. I'm not natively a fan of Slizers, I didn't grow up with them, so I'm looking at them through the lens of something I did grow up with. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Right out the gate, we have seen the return of this color scheme. It is purple and black. We last saw it with Electro, and I really liked it there, and I like it here too. Nothing much there has changed. Outside of that, well, let's go ahead and get into the build. The build is really standard. Not much is different from something you'd expect from, say, Torch, or Scuba, or Amazon, or any Slizer that is bipedal and has a slight hunch. We do get some nice pieces and some nice colors. That's very nice, though again, it's kind of just a standard Slizer build. As far as the functions are concerned, they are also incredibly standard. You have the gear function, which moves his head and shoulders up and down, and the disc function, where you put a disc in after locking the arm in, pull back, and release, and the disc will fly. Speaking of discs, he has two, one of which, of course, shows him, and the other one shows the meteor smashing into Slizer. Both of these discs are glow-in-the-dark. And that's about as bare bones as I can get with this review. Unfortunately, it's about how I feel about this set too. Really, it's kind of boring. Now, on its own, it's fine. It's a standard Slizer, it's got all the standard points of articulation, all the standard functions, and all those things are perfectly serviceable. They do a perfectly fine job of being exactly what they need to be. There aren't any actual issues with that. However, I've just gone through almost every other Slizer. And before the big one, Blaster, this is the last, small, standardized sized Slizer. And I'm just kind of bored. It doesn't feel like the designers learned anything from the other Slizers. It felt put together. They had to meet a quota. Well, let's make a Slizer. And after Flare happened, they decided to make something a little more typical. This can of course be excused storyline-wise, because I believe in the story he is a combination of a bunch of different Slizers, one of which I believe is Amazon, but unfortunately from a set perspective, that doesn't really cut it. I'm just not very interested by this set. Like the other Slizers, he comes with a canister. This is basically just Electros, has all the usual branding as we've come to expect, name, disc, arm, and of course the belt loops. And he can, of course, fold in a very specific manner to go into the container. Again, it's not complex, but it's so specific that I'm not going to remember how to do it without instructions. You can fold them up like so, and put them in the box, and there isn't that much of an issue. Not something I'm ever going to really do, not something I ever want to do again. At the end of the day, this set on its own is probably fine. It's not objectionable in any meaningful way. It's a little confusing, given that he has this weird shield thing, I guess. Maybe it's like a big blade, the tip of a knife. I'm not really sure. It's kind of weird. So on his own, he's not that terrible. It's just in comparison to everything else, I feel like we've almost wasted an opportunity for a new and interesting Slizer. Nothing about this really intrigues me. Nothing about this grips me. I'm just not all too enthused by anything about this Slizer. So really, I recommend you can probably just pass. And that about does it. That's been my review of Spark. Let me know what you think in the comments below or on the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. That'll do it. Now, on to the big one. Okay, the other big one. Join me next time when I look over the last Slizer, Blaster. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell.